Hello, world and universe. Welcome to the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth. And about a week or two ago, Cameron and Mase, they have a show, a podcast. I think it's called "Is It Worth It?" Uh, and Cameron started expressing and telling a story that went back to 1991, 92, when Cameron and Mase were teenagers and they went into a brothel, whorehouse, and how they pulled a threesome with a young lady of the night. And he started talking about how they were speaking to the lady and the things that they were doing. And Cameron and Mase recently, over the last 6 months or so, had signed an 8-figure deal for their podcast, something like 20 or $30 million. They had their feuds back in the day where they didn't get along. They grew up together when they were both promoting gangster rap. Mase was with Bad Boy. Cameron had his own deal with Dipset, and it is very shocking that Cameron, he did most of the talking. Mase just kind of laughed. But I'm talking about this because with this Me Too movement and all of these hashtags that are taking place and what Puffy is going through now, Bill Cosby went through, Russell Simmons, Cameron has to be a damn fool to sit up and talk about something from 30 years ago that was technically illegal. He was in a prostitution house with a prostitute, and he was saying he was basically underage, and he does not think that that could come back to haunt him. That makes absolutely no sense, and I don't know what remotely he thought he was getting out of it and how he thought it was funny to pay a woman to use and abuse her. Whether she thought it was accepted it and thought it was okay or not. You're a public figure. You've been a public figure for the last 30 years, and now you have an 8-figure deal with a podcast. You see what Puffy is going through. Mase knows probably all the bones and bodies that are buried in association with Puffy, and hasn't said anything. He even lived with Puffy early in his career. They see what's going on with Puffy. Why in the world would Cameron come out and talk about a threesome that he had at an illegal establishment, which makes not an ounce of sense, and Mase didn't tell him to shut up? I mean, you're going to bite your own hand off that feeds you? That makes absolutely no sense. And if the Me Too movement gets a handle on this, whether she was a prostitute or not, the denigration of women in today's time is an absolute no-no. And then Melissa Ford, who's on Joe Budden's podcast, heard about the things that Cameron was saying that they did with this young lady. And she made mention that it could have been some underage girls there. Well, that pissed Cameron off, and he was saying he was underage, which makes no sense for him to sit here and tell on himself. And Melissa Ford was probably wrong for saying that, because having a relationship with an underage girl versus an adult, those crimes are a little bit different. However, and then Cameron got really pissed off and started talking bad about Melissa Ford. So Joe Budden and Melissa Ford are going against Cameron and Mase. Mase hasn't said a whole lot, but Cameron did another YouTube video talking about and smashing Melissa Ford's character as a result of this commentary that came right out of his mouth about what him and Mase did at a brothel or a prostitution place. And Cameron is 100% wrong. Promoting, thinking it's funny. He probably has daughters, mother, aunties, sisters, and for whatever circumstance that young lady was doing, whatever she was doing, I don't think he should promote it, think it's funny. whether it's 30 years or 50 years. The Survivors Act in New York that just expired. Bill Cosby went to jail for something that he was accused of 40 and 50 years ago. I mean, what is Cameron trying to verbally walk his way into the police station or get canceled with his podcast? And he's trying to turn his life around from being a gangster rapper to a podcaster. This is the silliest and the dumbest thing that I think could have come out of Cameron's mouth. And young people need to look at this, and we need to stop worshiping rappers and entertainers. They're just people. Sometimes they're not bright people. They might have a talent at rapping and rhyming and putting the words together over music, but that does not mean they have good common sense, good common healthy sense. And Cameron is clearly displaying this, that he has very little sense whatsoever to sit here and talk about a threesome that he did 30 years ago with Mase, and Mase just sits there and laughs, while Puffy is getting thrown through the ringer, through the washing machine, and when he gets done, will there be any dirt left on him? The system is taking him all the way through this. Puffy needs to make sure he doesn't end up in the penitentiary. But Cameron, I guess he thinks he's above the fray, and what he did at this brothel, I'm calling it, in New York when he was a teenager, is not funny whatsoever. We need to manifest our truth in the right direction and speak about positive, moral, and ethical things. Many people have done things that they regret 30 years ago, but it's not a healthy and mature way as a man and as a black man to sit there and market and promote and talk about and gossip about you doing a threesome with a young lady, whether you paid her or not. It makes not an ounce of sense whatsoever for him, for that to come out of his mouth. It's not funny. Melissa Ford should have criticized him in a different direction, more so along the lines of degrading women and treating them as a thing or an item versus a human being. She shouldn't have necessarily talked about it. Could have been underage girls there. That's wrong. But this is silly. Cameron made a very big verbal mistake, and he needs to not ever talk about any more threesomes or anything else he's done throughout his rap career. Is not funny. And we as black people need to make these people accountable, and we need to make sure these YouTube videos and these podcasts are in a positive, moral, and ethical light that's based around our humanity and our humanness in the right direction, going towards the right direction of a healthy and wholesome life. So manifest your truth. This has been the Trevor Donald Experience. Please hit the like button and the notification button, and please share this commentary with people you think will find it informative.